Inside the opulent palace, courtiers whisper amidst silk robes. King Hung XVIII sits upon his throne, regal and imposing. Before the king, Mai An Tiem kneels, radiating quiet strength despite his simple attire. King Hung XVIII speaks, offering An Tiem a position and his daughter's hand. "I offer you a position in my court." An Tiem responds with respect. "I believe wealth, created by one's own hands, is the most precious." A nearby courtier overhears An Tiem's rejection, his face twisting with envy, a silent plot brewing. Torches flicker in the royal palace, casting dancing shadows that twist and writhe across the hall's grand architecture. An envious courtier leans in, his words a subtle poison, twisting An Tiem's words into a web of deceit. His voice, a low hiss, carries through the hall, painting An Tiem as arrogant and disrespectful. The king's face darkens, his brow furrowing as the courtier's lies seep into his mind. A palpable anger begins to simmer beneath his regal composure, threatening to erupt. A weathered boat braves the vast, open sea, heading towards the horizon. An Tiem stands firm, the wind whipping through his hair as he stares ahead. Beside him, the princess is lost in worry and disbelief, echoing in their minds the king's harsh words. "Since you believe your wealth comes from yourself, go and fend for yourselves." The distant island looms, a stark contrast to the endless sea. The sun beats down on a deserted island, where An Tiem and his wife stand on the white sand. The landscape is desolate. Scattered rocks baking under the relentless Sunday, Princess surveys the barren surroundings, her voice filled with despair. "How will we survive here?" An Tiem's gaze hardens with determination, his voice resolute. "Where there's a will, there's a way." He looks out at the endless horizon, his resolve a stark contrast to the unforgiving environment. The island stretches, challenging their will to survive against all odds. Under the relentless sun, An Tiem's sweat glistens as he hammers salvaged wood, building a crude shelter against the unforgiving elements. Nearby, the princess furrows her brow, awkwardly tilling the rocky soil, determination flickering in her eyes. Days blur into weeks, marked by the rhythm of survival. Hammering, digging, searching, and the relentless Sunday. Empty hunts yield no meat, and fruitless digs reveal no water, each failure chipping away at their dwindling hope. An Tiem pauses, his gaze sweeping the horizon, a silent plea for rescue etched on his weary face. The princess stares at the barren landscape, her initial resolve tested by the harsh reality of their isolation. On the deserted island, An Tiem watches birds feast on strange black seeds, a silent observer of nature's harsh beauty. The birds take flight, a dark cloud against the bright sky, leaving An Tiem alone with newfound curiosity. Intrigued, he gathers the seeds, his weathered hands carefully collecting the mysterious sustenance. A flicker of hope ignites in his eyes, a silent promise of survival whispered in the desolate landscape. Under the harsh sun, An Tiem carefully presses seeds into the barren sand, a silent promise of life. His wife works beside him, their movements synchronized in a dance of hope against the odds. Each seed is a tiny beacon, nurtured with unwavering dedication and love. Collected rainwater, a precious gift, is carefully poured, quenching the thirst of the future. Their hands shield the fragile sprouts from the sun, a tender defense against the island's fury. In their shared labor, resilience blooms, defying the desolate landscape of the deserted island. Months later, the deserted island bursts with life, a vibrant contrast to its earlier desolation. Watermelons, round and lush, dot the landscape, their vibrant green a stark contrast against the sand. An Tiem's son exclaims, "Father, this fruit is round, green on the outside, red on the inside, and very sweet." An Tiem looks lovingly at his son, a smile on his face. "Duaho, watermelon, the fruit of faith and labor," An Tiem declares, his voice filled with pride. Under the relentless sun, An Tiem painstakingly carves Mai An Tiem into the thick skin of a watermelon. Sweat beads on his forehead as he etches his plea, a desperate act against the backdrop of the deserted island. He clutches the melon, his eyes scanning the distant, empty horizon, a silent prayer on his lips. With a surge of hope, he hurls the watermelon into the vast sea, entrusting his fate to the indifferent waves. On the beach, villagers gather, their eyes wide with awe at the sight of a colossal watermelon washed ashore. Its unusual stripes gleam under the sun, a mystery from the deep. A villager cautiously slices into the giant fruit with a shell. Juicy red flesh is revealed, sparking murmurs of amazement. Overjoyed by the miraculous gift, they decide to present the watermelon to the king. Inside the opulent royal palace, the king feasts on a slice of watermelon, his face alight with childlike joy. The king relishes the juicy sweetness, a rare moment of pure, unadulterated pleasure etched upon his royal features. A courtier nervously approaches, breaking the serene moment with news of an inscription on the melon's rind. "Your Majesty, notice the name carved on the rind, Mai An Tiem." The courtier speaks, the name hanging heavy in the air. Sunlight floods the royal palace, motes of dust swirling in the golden beams. The king sits alone on his ornate throne, a solitary figure. Regret is etched deeply into the king's face as he stares at his hands, turning them over as if searching for answers. A flicker of realization crosses his features, a dawning understanding illuminating his eyes. "I see now. I misunderstood. An Tiem," he murmurs, the weight of his error heavy in his voice. His gaze softens, the memory of An Tiem's actions unfolding in his mind with newfound clarity. He was only trying to help. His hard work, his resourcefulness. The king reflects, his voice filled with remorse. Under the vast sky, a majestic royal ship sails, its white sails billowing, slicing through the endless blue. The ship advances towards a solitary, deserted island, a speck of green on the horizon. Its mission, to retrieve An Tiem and his family, and return them to the mainland. The sea whispers tales of homecoming as the ship presses on. On the deserted island, An Tiem and his wife stand silhouetted against the bright horizon, their faces etched with anticipation. A distant speck breaks the monotony of the endless blue, a ship, a beacon of hope on the vast ocean. The ship grows larger, its form solidifying against the skyline, promising salvation and a return to civilization. Joy erupts as the realization dawns rescue is imminent, their long ordeal nearing its end. Overcome with emotion, An Tiem and his wife turn to each other, their eyes mirroring a shared sense of relief. In a heartfelt embrace, they cling to each other, hope surging through them at the prospect of finally going home. An Tiem and his family arrive on the mainland, greeted by the king and a jubilant crowd of villagers. Smiles light up the villagers' faces as they cheer, their gratitude palpable in the warm sunlight. The king steps forward, his expression etched with respect and deep appreciation for An Tiem. "An Tiem, your perseverance has brought prosperity to our land," the king declares, his voice ringing with sincerity. "We are forever in your debt," the king continues, his eyes reflecting the villagers' heartfelt sentiments. "Teach our people the secrets," the king pleads, "so that we may never suffer from hunger again." Under the bright sun, lush watermelon vines cover the field, promising a sweet harvest. An Tiem, with kind eyes, demonstrates the planting technique to the eager villagers. His weathered hands gently guide the seeds into the earth. He shows them how to water the plants, nurturing new life under the sunday. An Tiem teaches them to protect the plants, ensuring a bountiful crop. From then on, everyone remembered Mai An Tiem, the narrator says.